as the London City Lionesses pulled off the deal of the century yesterday, the biggest deal ever in WSL history. Well, let's find out by asking their CEO, because Martin Semmens, former Southampton CEO, but now London City Lionesses CEO, is alongside us in the studio. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming in. Well, we've got to start with Grace Gioro, the French international we saw shine at the European Championships. £1.4 million it's being reported as, and London City making a splash. Is it a world record?
I'm sorry to ruin with my first comment, but no, it isn't. It's a fantastic signing, fantastic player. The numbers are not quite right. I think this will be a case of the club not necessarily wanting to sell to us and not necessarily wanting to go through, which is why I went through so late, which is why I'm a bit croaky today. But I suspect those figures are probably more promoted from the other side. So it's a big deal. It's in and around the 1 million mark, but it's not actually a world record, sadly.
It's not the only big deal that we've seen in the WSL over the last couple of weeks. We've seen Olivia Smith, obviously, earlier in the summer, go from Liverpool to Arsenal. Alyssa Thompson has gone to Chelsea for another world record deal, although both sides are disputing that as well. Yep. No one wants to be a world record for some reason. I don't know what it is. But why the explosion in transfer fees this year?
I think people are beginning to really see the value of the league and the value of the game, and it comes down to whether you want to invest in your team or not, and at what point. So our viewpoint is the market is going to grow. No one can argue with that. The question is how fast and how far. And from our point of view, the earlier you can invest and the earlier you can move, the better it's going to be. So looking across at Alex, I think at some point we'll be sitting in this room talking about players that are worth 4, 5, 6 million. So I think teams like us want to invest now while the market is reasonable. And therefore, I think that has driven the market up during this window. So I've been involved in the team about 7 or 8 weeks. I've already seen the
You've been a
prices go up.
busy person at that time, don't you?
Yeah, but I've seen the prices go up in the last 7 or 8 weeks.
Martin is the CEO of London City Lionesses, the only fully independent WSL club, not attached to any men's entity. Michelle Kang is the businesswoman behind the whole thing. Plowed in a lot of money, signed a lot of players. They've gone from not nowhere, but from a team that nearly went into bankruptcy not so long ago to somewhere very fast. The new players are on the block, really. And there's every expectation that they could cause a splash this year in the WSL, having signed the number of players that you've signed this summer. Sure. So what attracted you to it?
Yeah, so I've been away the last couple of years in Italy, in Serie A with Parma, and I chose to come back to England, and I was choosing to take some time out. And I was coming back from the airport, and my agent, my representative, called me and said, look, I know you don't want to take calls, but a lady called Michelle Kang wants to talk to you. And you're like, well, I'm not going to turn down that conversation, because for me, she is, the number one investor in women's sports in the world. She's got a very clear vision. I met her within an hour. We'd kind of agreed that this was a great project. So for me, being an independent team is very, very important. It means that we're focused entirely on the women's game. There's no compromise. There's no, we're at it. Michelle wants to invest in infrastructure, so we're building a brand new training centre not too far from where I live, which is very helpful. We're looking at building a new stadium in London, but she really wants to push the standards across the game. So you see the transfers, you see the games tonight, but in reality we have to improve the medical care, we have to improve the coaching, we have to improve everything for the players, and then it will go to the highest level. So for me personally, I tell you, Richard Scudamore, the guy who used to run the Premier League, is a bit of a friend and mentor to me. When I went to see him, he said, make sure you pick your owner, pick the project, pick somewhere you can make a difference. Don't just pick the club or what your friends tell you is a great club to go to. In my role, and for me, this is the best project I could possibly do, because we will grow and because things will go in a great direction, almost whatever we do. But I think if we do a good job, we can really accelerate the game.
Well, you've done that as well, as you said last year, going up against Birmingham City. I was watching that game as well, because obviously it was the winner goes up, wasn't it? Yeah. And obviously you get that promoted. You brought in Nikita Paris as well, massive names. How have you seen those ladies come in and impact the players that have managed to stay on from last year? Have you saw a massive raise in their level as well?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the club before my time did a very good job of being clear where it was going. And you have this terrible situation when any team gets promoted where some guys or girls that got you there leave. Yeah. And I think they did a very good job of dealing with that early. And then we have brought in, more than 11 players, as we always say. So therefore it is a new team in some shape or form. But I think what the club has done well is it has brought Nikita Paris and many players at sort of 28, 29, 30 with great experience. We have a lot of Champions League winners in the squad, but we've also got young players that we had before, young players from Barcelona we bought this week. Lucia Carreras is 19, top wing back from Barcelona. So that merging of the group is very important. The facilities there are great. We have the best pitches I've ever seen. The facilities that we can put in place at this point are fantastic. We will improve it. So they're merging. I think the issue is bringing a new team together on the pitch. Right?
Have you found explaining to people the project has been easier, but then when they come to the training ground, because you see it in the men's game as well, right?
Yeah.
People have come from a certain level that they're expecting. They see the training ground, and it has been improved, but it is, a little bit behind where you would like it to be. Have you been that a difficult stumbling block to get players over the line?
Yeah, not in this project actually. So as you referenced in Southampton, our job was to get a player in the training ground, and they would never leave because it was so beautiful. I've done other things where it's been the other way around. I'm sure you're aware of that. But I think this project is so clear in the women's game that people want to come. And I think the reason for that is even at the top clubs in England, where the players are being treated well, paid well, and winning trophies, they sometimes don't feel they're the focus of attention. And I think we can give that. It doesn't make us better. It's just different. And I think Michelle's name and brand in the game is so strong. It's so clear. It's not a charity. It's not trying to help the women get better. It's a real business with real investment. And I think they want to be part of that. But the training ground project is an important one,
You mentioned Southampton there, and this is a complete change for you, not just in terms of going from the men's game to the women's, but obviously you've joined a team who have ambitions to challenge towards the top end of the league. At Southampton, you were a firefighter, really, just trying to cling on to your status in the Premier League. How different has that been?
Yeah, I think everyone has ambition to win. To be clear, I have to say that I'm part of everyone works in the sport. But yeah, it is different. I think the issue in a club like Southampton is you're working incredibly hard and hopefully doing a very good job to kind of stand still. And the men's game, I think, is struggling from that. If you look at those clubs, they are doing a great job and working hard, but really progressing is difficult. So it is a great opportunity for us to progress. I mean, I was involved in the women's game at Southampton. We built a team from scratch. In Parma, we got a team promoted up to Serie A. So I know the game, but not at the same level. But for me, the big plus is that everybody wants to be part of it. You won't find anybody in the women's game, a player, a coach, a physio, who's not there because they want to be part of it. And without saying the opposite, there are situations in the men's game where the money has led to some confusion of that charm and that everyone going in the same direction. So that's probably the biggest difference for me.
I'll say crooks. And that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that for
no, but they're not in there for the purity of the sport. It's there for the money.
Yeah, and everybody who works for us in London City is there because they want to be 100%. Part of that project, not because we can pay more than somebody else.
And you want to make them a success, and obviously the acceleration of coming from nowhere to somewhere very quickly will breed jealousy in some parts. Sure. How has the rest of the WSL viewed you? Because there's an established order here. At the moment, it feels like Chelsea are winning it and they're untouchable. Yep. Arsenal are doing their best to try and catch up with them. Manchester United and Manchester City are there or thereabouts, although Manchester City have dropped off in the last couple of years. And then you're going to come along and nick one of those Champions League places, and they're not going to be very happy with you. So how are you being viewed?
Yeah, so first of all, we want to disrupt that, and that's part of the fun, and that's why I'm here. We're not going to hide from that. But I do think it's different, again, from the men's game, because the whole game has to grow. So that sort of rule of economics, that if you grow the market and you grow the world, everybody will come up with you. So I don't think it will be as negative as that. I'm quite new to the role. Haven't met many of these clubs yet, so we'll see.
It needs a little bit of rivalry, though, doesn't it?
It needs rivalry, but it needs growth, right? So I mean, we all know, we've seen it on the men's teams. Another team will come in and have more money, and there is jealousy there. I think in the women's game, we all need to rise up. Rising boats and all that stuff. And I think if Michelle is investing properly, and we're not just investing in expensive players, we're investing in the whole game, then everybody will benefit from that, I think.
I think Russo, there was a lot of talk. You got Russo over the line, wasn't there? Now, obviously, she's signed with Arsenal now. How close was that? Can you tell us how close that was? Or
Beth Mead. I think you're talking about Beth. Actually.
Beth Mead, sorry.
Yeah, I'd love
Russo,
that.
sorry, Beth Mead. Sorry, my bad.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think there were a number of players.
I know.
That's all right. She's a fantastic player. Yeah. My daughters would have been thrilled with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of top players that we spoke to. I would say nearly all of them wanted to come for some reason. Mm-hmm. Some could be done, some couldn't. So, I think Beth would have been an unbelievable, spokesperson and an image for our club. Mm-hmm. But it didn't happen for whatever reason. We're not hiding that it was part of the agenda. But we were able to get a series of really fantastic players in.
Do you go into it thinking, right, we've got to disrupt the marketplace with the WSL? Do we need a marquee household name that then promotes people to come to the games, young girls? My daughter, for example, is asking me all day today to go to the Chelsea game tonight. Pretty sure we'll end up coming to one of your games very soon as well. Yeah. But are you looking for somebody to be that flagship for your new brand, essentially?
Yeah, I think not somebody, but a lot of people.
A lot of people.
So again, being transparent, I think in the men's game, I would never have had that conversation at Southampton's level, for example, about a player being, figurehead. for sure here, yeah. And we have signed a series of players. You know, Aslani's been there for 2 years, a massive player. And we have the Italian captain. I think we have the Swedish captain.
I was about to say, you've got Aslani.
Aslani,
you've got Katie Tellem. You've got Jana Fernandez, who's very well thought of.
Nikita Paris.
You've got Nikita Paris, Grascioro, Daniela van der Donk. I mean, it's almost a little bit of an all-star team now, isn't it?
Yeah, and we just signed the Paris Saint-Germain captain, which is a top team, top player. I mean, again, I wasn't aware in the summer that I would be coming into a women's game, and I was watching her going, wow, that is some player in the Euros. And so it's not about one player, but certainly we're trying to accelerate a fan base. So we have to build a local fan base. This is a team with a smallish fan base, it's only been alive a few years, and a global fan base, because we believe we can attract people all around the world that love the game. Hence the sponsorship deal we've just done. Have you seen that with the Together Group, which is Alex Morgan's brand, which is about women, people watching the women's game. So we believe we can build a global fan base, and you need those star athletes. And I think the other thing I can say, Troy, I have 3 daughters as well, and they follow the athletes.
Yes.
So I watch the Euros with my 3 daughters on holiday in Spain, and they are obsessed by Chloe Kelly. It's not a mild like, it's an obsession. And I think that obsession for certain athletes in the game is a very strong part of the fan growth, I think.
Minimum salaries for players in the top 2 tiers of women's football. What's the thinking behind that? And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's not the only development that's sort of come in this season. With the agreement with Nike, you've got the equipment provision as well for those who don't have endorsement deals. Yeah,
that's the key. So I wasn't part of the minimum salary thing. I've only been here a few weeks, but I know, again, from the men's game, there are a lot of things that are in place like that. Like you have to have an academy, or you have to have this level of academy. So the women's game is not something, the minimum salary is important and it's media savvy, but it's much more than that. So it's about making sure that you have the right kit, making sure you have the right number of hours of training for the young children, the pitch levels, the medical problems. There are rules now going in place about making sure you have a certain level of medical care. We will go way beyond that. But those things are really, really important to raising the game and making the sport very attractive to watch and to grow. You have to have that.
How important was that Euros win?
Massive, I think. I was aware I was coming during those last few games, and I think the impact of, I forget, it was the quarterfinal or the one before where they nearly went out in the last minute.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah. So the difference between
every game, actually. To be honest with you,
I think the difference between winning that and going out early will have a massive impact on our project. I'm sure you've seen the numbers from the last Euro win where the crowds went through the roof, and then last year they settled a bit. So they'll go through the roof again, I think.
Yeah, but actually I was doing a bit of digging on the old sort of appeal of it, and the linear broadcasting figures have gone down in terms of eyeballs and stuff like that. But actually the digital space, there's been an explosion of women's interaction and content. And that is the growth area, isn't it? And although people will say, well, actually less people are watching, actually that's not true.
Yeah. A lot of the games were on YouTube as well, weren't they?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, I can give you an insight into that without giving too many secrets away. But I worked for a long time with the Premier League about how they could convert from traditional broadcasting to more of the digital. And it's very difficult for them to do it, right? Because they have such amazing deals in place. How do you ever move forward from that? And they will find a way, and there's brilliant people doing it. But in the women's game, you can switch to that much quicker. So the future will be, digital interactions, shorter interactions. They believe the future is, in the end, people won't watch the whole game. They'll watch a portion of it and watch all the games at the same time. So I think we have a real opportunity in that space. And the other insight I can give you is the commercial deals that the top girls have within the sport really are fantastic now. Yeah. So I'm looking at Troy now as the only professional here. The difference between your commercial deal and your salary might have not been that big. Yeah. In the women's game, I think there's a much bigger emphasis on those commercial deals they're doing outside of their salary.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.